Call to order. All right, we call the meeting to order. Vanessa, will you call the roll, please?
Sure. Chair Frank Morton. Vice Chair Clement.
Here.
Treasurer Milliken.
Here.
Secretary Davis. Trustee DeVarty.
Here.
Trustee Hatcher.
Here.
Trustee Leo.
Here.
Okay, so we move to approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Second. All right. Is there any discussion about the minutes? Or, I'm sorry, yeah, the minutes. No? Okay. Then the action to approve is, it's not a roll, it's all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
All right. We go on to citizen participation.
We'll also just approve the
Oh,
agenda.
approve the agenda? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I missed
Sorry for
approval of the
that.
agenda.
It's this yellow one.
Okay.
So moved.
So moved, do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Okay. Now we move on to citizen participation. First up, the WCCEA.
I caught you, Hot Roddy.
I know it wasn't that common.
Yeah, you about had a tangle in the parking structure, didn't you? Good evening. Last month I didn't have anything to present to you. You're not this lucky this month. I've just got one item I want to raise, and that is the ongoing negotiations with the OPT. So this isn't really about my membership. I want to convey to you my support of the OPTs in seeking a larger raise at the bottom of the scale. The OPTs make not a lot of money for a lot of work that they do. As I understand it, I'm obviously not a part of the OPT negotiating team, but talking to people who were and talking to members of the OPTs as they were back briefed on the negotiations. The raise they were offered at the bottom of the scale amounted to a less than $10 a week raise. Let me please suggest to you, members of the board, that this college can afford to do better than that. As with all bargaining units, I can speak about mine. We have members who might be less than productive, but across the board as a group, the OPTs work hard. They serve this college well. And they deserve a good raise for their efforts. I urge the board to talk with President Belanca and provide guidance that will give the OPTs a good raise in these times. Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to public comments. Is Alan Haber available? Did I say that right, Haber? Okay.
Hello. I understand Haber means friend in the old country. I want to talk about the police question and peace. I've heard that you are undertaking discussing a investment in an employee and a number of police officers on campus. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a carpenter. I've been a student here. My wife has been a student here. I've always appreciated the good atmosphere of this campus. I've never had any experience or heard of experience of any troubles that would merit a major investment in police on campus beyond what's available from the regular police that I pay for. I don't feel that my taxes should be paying for you to have your own police force. It's not needed. And from what I just heard, there is staff that could really use, if you have extra money, improved pay. There are definitely counselors that are always needed. But the point I want to make is that as a mission for a college, for a university, for a school, I'd like to recall the resolution that the General Assembly of the United Nations passed at the outset of this century and millennium. The common mission of all humanity now is the creation of a culture of peace and nonviolence for the children of the world. If we our country, our culture, ourselves are to survive these times. The creation of a culture of peace and nonviolence should be at the top of your mission, beyond the education and the making people's activities and talents available in the society. Spending $500,000 a year, $1 million in 2 years, $4 million in 8 years, that is not the culture of peace. Any part of that invested into counselors, into education, into mediation, into conflict resolution, into the community as itself having an understanding of how to deal with conflict and how to deal with people learning to live and adjust to one another. After the first decade, which was passed by the United Nations for the creation of the culture of peace, the next mission is for the rapprochement of cultures. What are the ways that people learn better to get along, agree to differ, but our cultures come together? I want you to have a sense, for me as a resident of this county and this country and a citizen of this world, to see that as your mission. And it's totally beside the point to spend $500,000 to put police on campus when there are police right down the road, when there is no need. But there is a tremendous need for counseling and for education and for those programs that might advance the creation of a culture of peace and nonviolence for the children of the world.
Okay.
Better you have a room here dedicated to when conflict comes, let the contestants come there and work it out. And then you say, well, how did we do it? How did we make the culture of peace on this campus? And this incident, that incident, the next. Pretty soon you begin to develop in this community what is the culture of peace and nonviolence for the children of the world, for the next generation, and for ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Haber.
My time is up?
Yeah, your time's up, but I appreciate the sentiment. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Resolution 98-5325, passed by the General Assembly in 1998. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to written communications. Vanessa, were there any written?
Yes, there's one written.
Okay. Okay, moving on to special reports. The first one up is VP Johnson.
Great. I would like to invite Michelle Fowler, who is the principal with Raymond and Associates, to provide for the board the mandatory audit communication at the start of our external audit for this year. You should have all received in your board materials package, which is the professional services agreement between Raymond and the college, and Michelle is going to walk through that with you today.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Johnson, for that introduction, and good evening to all of you. Again, my name is Michelle Fowler, and I am the engagement partner for the audit for the college. And so I'm going to go through this very quickly. All of you have this document. Just to remind you, this would be Raymond's 8th year that we have been servicing the college in this capacity, and I have been the engagement partner for those 8 years. So if you could please turn to page 1 of the plan, just very quickly, it outlines the scope of the services for the current year audit. There have been no changes from what we would have done before. So we need to look at the financial statements for the college as well as the federal awards programs that the college has. So we'll be issuing those 2 reports. And then if you could please turn to the top of page 2 and just want to go over the timing with you. So the plan would be that the draft reports will be presented to you at the September 19th board meeting. And so those drafts will actually be distributed to you by September 15th. So you'll be able to see those ahead of time. And then the plan would be after that meeting, you've had a chance to look at those drafts, we would go ahead and issue the finals, and then you would have the final reports available to you at that October 24th board meeting. Okay, any questions on that part? All right, so then in order to meet that timeline, if you look at the middle of page 2, it has the timing of the services. And so we will actually be out here the week of July 17th doing our planning work and also doing some preliminary procedures, including looking at the student financial aid programs. And then we'll come back at the end of August, and we will wrap up all of our final field work, and we will do any wrap-up procedures as it relates to the federal awards programs. All right, great. So then at the bottom of page 2 and continuing on to page 3, it goes through and has some key audit and accounting considerations. I'm not going to go over those with you because there aren't any changes, but I did want to point out at the bottom of page 3, and that would be item L. So I had mentioned the student financial aid cluster, and we'll be looking at that. We definitely know that's going to be a major program, and until we come back in the middle of July and have that final draft of the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, at that time we'll be able to make sure, are there any other federal programs that we would need to look at in detail? So we'll know that at that time, but definitely we'll be looking at student financial aid. Okay, all right. So then if you could please turn to the top of page 4, and it continues on to page 5. We have listed here for you some select accounting pronouncements that are going to be impacting the college either this year or in the future. You see a lot of things here. We're not going to go over them. A lot of them are coming in future years, but it's just important that the board has a chance to see these, and then we'll talk to you more about them as they get closer. But the key one that I did want to bring up, and we would have talked about this last year when we were presenting the audit report for 2016, is if you look at the top of page 4, there's Gatsby 75, which would be on the post-employment benefits other than pensions. So right now for the college, for its participation in MIPSers, there is a net pension liability for the pension piece for that plan. What this is going to do is this is going to cover the OPEB or other post-employment benefit piece, or basically the healthcare piece of it. So the same thing is going to happen. This is going to be next year, so fiscal 2018, but we're talking about it now because it will have a significant impact because there will be this net OPEB liability that the college will need to put on its books. So I just wanted to, point that out. Similar to when the college needed to implement the pension piece. So the year before, the college notified the users of the statements in its notes that this significant pronouncement was coming. And I'm hoping by then the college will have some sort of an estimate from the Office of Retirement Services. It's not going to be the exact amount of that net OPEB liability, but at least some sort of an estimate so the users can see maybe what that impact will be in 2018. And I want to remind you, back when we had talked about the pension piece, so the same thing for the healthcare piece, putting this liability on the college's books does not impact the cash flow of the college. The contributions that the college is required to make for this plan related to healthcare doesn't have anything to do with this accounting pronouncement. This is only for external reporting purposes only. It's a book entry. There's going to be a lot of new disclosures, just like there was with the pension piece, but I think it's very important for everyone to note on the board, this is not going to impact the cash contributions that have to be made to the plan. Does anybody have any questions on that? Comments? Yes.
So this is going, I guess, part of your audit is going to identify to us the number of that is going to be this liability that we show on our books.
That for next year, that will be correct.
That we will be showing in the next fiscal year.
Yeah, so what will happen next year, yes, we will audit that information, and next year the actual number will be available from the Office of Retirement Services, and also the state of Michigan's auditors will go in and they will do some work, and they will provide us with a report. All of that work will be done next year.
So that's not on this year's report.
Yeah, all that's going to happen this year is that ORS will provide their best guess of what they think it's going to be, so that way the participating employers can start planning.
And who's ORS?
The Office of Retirement Services.
And who is that? Is that the state?
That is the state.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there's going to be this liability that's on our books, but you're saying it's not going to affect our cash flow. How are we going to meet the liability?
What's going to happen?
That's a question
Do you
for
want
Bill.
Sure. We
Yeah.
actually today, the state requires that we make contributions on behalf of our employees for current costs and for the funding of this unfunded obligation. And it includes both a big piece for pension as well as a piece for these other post-employment retirement benefits, such as healthcare costs. So that isn't going to change as a result of us adopting this new accounting standard, just as it didn't when we adopted the standard related to pensions and put that on our balance sheet a couple of years ago. So because the funding requirements from the state are addressing that unfunded obligation over a 30-year plus period.
Okay, I have a concern in another area. And you know the four quadrant thing that we've looked at retreats?
Yes.
To identify if we're in compliance?
Yeah, the CFI.
Is this going to have an impact on that?
It will have an impact on it, just as pension did, and our anticipation that HLC will take a similar assessment process as it did with pension, in that it will ask us to do that calculation both with the impacts as reported from the audited results, and then without the impacts. And it's without the impacts of pension and now the OPEB costs that the HLC will use as a measure of financial strength.
So is this going to have a negative impact on, we have HLC accreditation coming up in what, 2 years?
2020.
So is this going to have an impact on
It
how we
will
show
not.
for that?
Nope. No, it will not.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions on that?
I'll wait. I do have some questions, but I think I'll wait until Vice President Johnson gives a report.
Okay, all right, very good. The only other thing that I wanted to mention on this page, if you look at the pronouncement below that, which is Gatsby 77 tax abatement disclosures, just what it's saying, it would only impact the footnotes for the college. So right now, the finance office is going and gathering the information to see for those governmental entities that actually are levying and collecting those taxes on behalf of the college. Were there any agreements that would have been entered into with taxpayers whereby that taxpayer is actually paying less tax in total? Not what's less coming to the college, but their overall liability. This is a very narrow standard as far as what meets the definition. I think a lot of us are, when you think tax abatements, it's all sorts of things. This is very narrow. And certainly it would only be if it would be a material amount. That's how it always is with external financial statements. Only if it had a material impact would it need to be disclosed. So that's something that we will be looking at when we come back in the middle of July to see if that's something that would be necessary. But that would be the only new thing that you would see. No impact on the financial statements themselves. It would only be in the footnotes. Okay, so that's it for new pronouncements. And then I did want to point out to you on page 5, you have the key contact information for the executives that service Washtenaw Community College. I just want to remind the board that we understand that we work for you. We don't work for management. So it's very important that you have direct access to us. So you have this contact information. You can contact us at any time if you have any questions or concerns as we're going through this process. You don't have to wait until I come to these meetings. Okay? And then the only other thing that I wanted to point out, you have in the appendix a copy of the engagement letter. We have to enter into one of these every year with the college. There were no significant changes to it compared to what we would have done last year. But it just goes through, it just shows a detailed agreement, more detail on scope, and it outlines what our responsibilities are as auditors, but then also what management's responsibilities are as it relates to the audit. But this is a required communication that we need to make to you in addition to the other items that I just went over. And that concludes my formal presentation, but I would be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'll see all of you in September.
Okay.
Thank you, Michelle.
I just would like to just say real quick, my daughter and I were late due to a family situation, and I couldn't get here any sooner than that, and I apologize for my lateness, Angela. Okay, the next is the Livingston County Extension Center report. Vice President Blakey. Good evening.
So I'm going to give you an update on our extension centers in Livingston County. We have approximately 1,500 students from Livingston County who take classes with WCC in the fall and winter semester. That represents 13% of our student headcount in those semesters. And if you remember from our profiles that we look at, student profiles, the high schools from Brighton, Pinckney, Heartland, and Howell are always in the top 10 feeders for the students that feed to us. And that's basically for the 5 districts in Livingston County. If we look at the Livingston County residents, we look at the programs that they're majoring in. The top 3 are healthcare foundations, business, and liberal arts transfer. And that mirrors the top majors that we have on main campus as well. When we look at where those students are taking classes, so we have the Livingston County residents for fall 2016. If you look at the majority, 58% are taking face-to-face classes on the main campus. An additional 15% are taking face-to-face on campus plus online classes. 13% are taking online classes only, so each student is only in one of these groups. 8% are taking face-to-face on campus plus an extension center, and then 4% are taking classes only at the extension centers. If we look on an annual basis, you see there's about 2,200 students who are taking classes from Livingston County at WCC. That's 11% of our head count. Less than 15% of those students are taking classes at those Livingston County sites. If we look at the Livingston County sites, we've had a decline in head count. This shows the last 5 years of enrollment. We know that as we have increased our online classes and the number and types of classes that are available online, then we've seen less students taking classes in Livingston County. And with those majors that we looked at, if you're a science or a health major, you're going to have to come to campus for our anatomy and physiology labs. And for any of our occupational programs like auto body or welding, they would need to be coming to campus. You can see for 13-14 was the last year we actually did offer CNA, our Certified Nursing Assistant Program, at the Livingston County site. We moved that site to Ypsilanti in 2014, and that was to meet the needs of our high school partners in Ypsilanti.
Excuse me, Linda, I'm quite sure someone else is going to be asking questions. Do you have any questions? Yeah, before I start?
I'm holding.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask. There is a significant drop in 16-17.
Right, so we're not running, we didn't, the sections that we ran for spring, summer, we didn't have quite enough enrollments to run. So that's why there's a drop in 16-17. Besides the classes, we're finding more students are taking online classes as well.
So you're still offering it, but maybe for the fall,
for
but not.
16, yes, yep, I'm going to get to that.
Okay. Okay.
I'll get
Thank
to
you.
that in a second.
All right.
So if we look at the sites that we have in Livingston County, we have 2. We have the Heartland Educational Center. That's the former Heartland High School, and then it was converted to the Educational Center. There's multiple providers in that center. It's located at M59 and US 23, and that's where we primarily offer our day classes. And then we also have a center, an office located in Brighton High School, and that's primarily where we offer our evening classes. For both the Heartland and Brighton sites, we have general education classes offered. We also have part-time administrative and clerical support that'll answer student questions. We have laptops there to walk students through their registration or application process. We also provide Accuplacer and ALEX testing at those sites for those students. We offer Connect sessions, which are basically our orientation sessions. And then we will be doing online advising with our GoToMeeting, so we'll do face-to-face with our online advisor. We have an advisor that specializes in online students, and so Caleb Boswell will be the advisor primarily for these students starting in July 1st. What we're doing with these sites starting with the 17 academic year, we're making a commitment that we'll be offering the Michigan Transfer Agreement. Michigan Transfer Agreement, remember, is a 30-credit block of gen ed credits. And we're going to make a commitment that these will be offered at the Heartland and Brighton site. We know it's very important for us to maintain a presence there with the number of students we have coming from Livingston County. Again, we're offering primarily gen ed classes now. We'll be expanding to offer some what we call kind of low lab science classes like astronomy and geology, so that students will be able to complete the MTA at the Livingston County sites. We also are starting a new cybersecurity program with Livingston County. This year, Livingston County, the ISD, was approved for a middle college, and so they will be starting that in fall of 17. They're going to be expanding their programming to include our cybersecurity. There is a cybersecurity site at Pinckney High School. They do training for the high school students as well as community members. And so students who go into the middle college for Livingston County, so any of the 5 districts will be able to go to Pinckney and do the cybersecurity in a 5-year program. So we anticipate that starting in winter 18, we would be offering classes at Pinckney High School for the students that are in that cybersecurity program as well. So again, it's important for us to maintain our presence in Livingston. It's important for us to market all of our programs. In the winter launch, I've been working with marketing, so in the winter launch, we'll be kind of doing a feature story on a Livingston County student who's completed programs with us. I expect that with the construction on US 23 between Ann Arbor and Brighton, that there will be more incentive to perhaps take classes at the extension centers as opposed to driving down. That construction won't probably wrap up until early next year. And so, again, we want to make sure that we maintain that we're the best option for those students as opposed to going to LCC or to Mott Community College. Any questions? Yes.
So our competition in Livingston County is LCC and Mott. Are they also at the Heartland Center, or?
Yes, so actually LCC is at the Parker. So Howell built a new high school in Howell, and then they didn't open it as a new high school. And so LCC is actually housed in the park, what's called the Parker Center.
Oh. And Mott? You said
Mott has some classes at the Parker Center also. They do some non-credit classes there also. Yes.
Yes.
I actually would like to, if I could get a copy of this.
Okay.
Because I have a number of questions. But one question that I wrote down 3 right here. I'll just ask one right now. The tuition, we get tuition paid is it at the in-county rate or is it at the out-county rate?
No, Livingston County students are out-of-district students, so they pay the out-of-district rate.
Okay. And do we get any, the Washtenaw Community College gets 50% of our budget from Washtenaw County taxpayers.
Correct.
Are we getting any support from Livingston County, or is it just the tuition that the students pay?
It would be the tuition that the students pay.
Okay. I just want to say that I really would like these numbers, and I'd like the opportunity to maybe meet with you and engage in some other questions, because Mike Bishop, who's the congressperson who represents Livingston County, is on the Education Committee for the U.S. House of Representatives. I think it's really important that he understand the value that we as community college, not in his district, provide to his constituents, as it is, I'm sure, Mott College is also not in his district, and they provide a lot of service to his constituents as well. And I'd like the opportunity to be well-versed enough in this that I could try to meet with him to convey how important it is for the Congress to continue to support the community colleges.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Linda. Okay. WCC and U of M Collaboration, Dean Jennings.
You want this up?
Yeah, that's.
Good evening. Again, I'm Clarence Jennings Jr., the new Dean of Student Access, Success, Equity, and Inclusion. As you know, the University of Michigan a few weeks ago announced their Go Blue Guarantee, which will pay for tuition and mandatory fees for students who are residents of the state of Michigan and come from families who earn below $65,000. Making college affordable has been on the forefront of what we do here at WCC, and what you as board members have said is the goal, to make college affordable for our students here in this county. I would like to share with you this evening some of the WCC collaborations and initiatives that we believe will increase the number of students who will transfer to Michigan and are able to take advantage of the Go Blue guarantee. Annually, over 130 WCC students are admitted to the University of Michigan. In fact, we are the top community college feeder, representing about 40% of all community college transfers from the state of Michigan. Our diverse community of learners and the academic rigor and academic preparation of our students has made the university and others seek out our collaborations with us. So tonight I'd like to talk about 6 of the collaborations that we have going. From left to right, we have 2 STEM initiatives that are coming out of grants that we are seeking from the National Science Foundation. The first one is the SSTEP, and the SSTEP grant stands for Science Technology Expansion Program. The goal of this program is to increase the numbers of low-income and academically talented students who will first attend WCC and then transfer to a 4-year university. We're looking for these students to transfer to the University of Michigan. Our second STEM-related grant is an actual partnership with U of M that is for underrepresented minority students, those students who are African American, Hispanic, American Indian, Pacific Islander, and Alaskan Native, with the goal of actually securing a bachelor's degree, again, at the University of Michigan. This fall, we are rolling out our Scholars Learning Community. So for many of you, this is the first time you're hearing about this. Our learning community is designed for our full-time, first-time degree-seeking students who are on scholarship here at the college. Our goal of increasing the number of students who actually go here for 2 years, utilizing the scholarship, and then transferring to a 4-year with an associate degree. We also have a partnership with the Ann Arbor Area Foundation with their community scholars. We have a staff person who works here part-time that assists those students who are on scholarship with the Ann Arbor Area Community Foundation that supports them while they're here and prepares them for transfer to a 4-year. So again, the goal for all of these programs is to get them prepared here and transfer to a 4-year. The last 2 are partnerships that we have with the University of Michigan, one being the MPOD, and MPOD stands for Pursuing Our Dreams. It's a program that's focused on, again, underrepresented minority students who will, if they take the right courses and the GPA and other things are correct, they will be considered for admission to Michigan. Again, opportunity for students. And the last deals with research. How many of our students are able to get research as a freshman or sophomore? Most students don't. This program with the University of Michigan allows students to go for 10 weeks, a paid research opportunity for 10 weeks, with the goal of that student doing the research with a faculty member, and hopefully the student and faculty will engage in research that the student will actually want to transfer to the University of Michigan. So all of those tie into the guarantee, because many of our students come to WCC to save money. With this particular collaborations that we have, students will leave us with pretty much debt-free, going on to a what I would consider, I'm an alum, so the greatest college in the United States and in the world, that will allow students to leave debt-free. I can tell you, speaking with students, some of our students in many of the 4 years are leaving with debt loads that are higher than a mortgage. So these kind of collaborations allowing students to come to WCC, learn from the best that we have here, transfer to U of M. This is a wonderful opportunity. So are there any questions? Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. As part of everything that we're doing around retention and completion, this leads us to students completing their degree here, going on to the 4-year, which we don't really have any control of what happens, but we're hoping that by having programs that students are becoming familiar with the University of Michigan, that they will leave us and be very successful there. So are there any questions that you may have for me?
Sounds very exciting.
Very excited. I'm very
And this is
excited.
going to start when?
Some of these programs are ongoing. The first two STEM programs will begin next summer. We'll be working with Ypsilanti schools and Ann Arbor schools to get high school seniors to think about coming to WCC for STEM, and the other programs are already ongoing. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering about, not the new programs, but the 4 ongoing programs. Do you have numbers of students that are involved in those programs?
We do. So for the Ann Arbor scholars, we have approximately 30 students here on campus. With the MPOD, thank you.
There's about 250 students that are in the program.
Okay.
And then for the undergraduate research, it varies. Some years we've had 5, some years we have 20. Just depends on the needs of the student who wants to do the research.
And how many, maybe the foundation's better to ask, how many Ann Arbor Area Community Foundation scholarships do we have?
So they identified 11 scholars last year, and then they identified another 10 or 11 this year.
Okay.
And they are funding a success coach. So they partially funded, that's the position that Clarence alluded to, of they're basically understanding that the students need to have a little bit more support. And so that success coach is housed here. Those community scholarships can be, the student can pick a 2 or 4 year, and we provide support. That scholarship coach provides support for the students no matter what school they're going to.
Is
The
that
majority
part of the-
come to us, but some of them went to Eastern. We had a student at Wayne State, so
Is that the Barker Scholarship primarily?
Barker, also,
Okay.
Barker was just one, is just partial.
One
of
of
it.
them, yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
On the first two, you said those are going to be grant funded. Are the grants secured?
The LSAMP grant is secured,
Okay.
and the STEM, we should hear about that within the next month or so.
Okay. And how many students do we anticipate?
For the LSAMP, there's 20 for the first year total, over the 5 years of about 120 students. And for the STEP, we're looking at about the same number of students.
My question is, how are these students identified? How do they hear about this?
And that's part of my new job here, is to ensure that students know about those programs. So for the STEM-related programs, because it's a program, we're looking to start that pipeline. So we'll be out this year at the high schools looking for students who, and it's interesting because my philosophy is we sometimes overlook a student who's a 3.0, but when they come to college, they begin their career over, so they have a 4.0 when they show here. So we'll be looking for students who are driven, who understands the academic needs and the academic rigor of being an engineering student, because 15 credits is what usually 15, 18 credits, and they'll be taking those same 15, 18 credits here at WCC. So students who are wanting to transfer to the University of Michigan. So again, we're looking to ensure a pipeline. Chris is here. So we're working with the Mathematics and Science Department to develop some Saturday academies. So we'll be actually bringing students on campus on Saturdays so that we can get them prepared. These students have to be pre-calculus ready their first semester here at WCC. And we know many students don't take enough math, so our goal is to make sure we can get them prepared before they get here.
My concern still is, and always has been, the counselors at the high schools. They still have this preconceived notion that community colleges are a like extension of a high school. And are you working with the counselors there to try to get their minds differently in thinking? I know Blakey, Vice President Blakey has been going to the superintendent's meetings, but I still hear, I don't want to go to a 2-year, I want to go to a 4-year, but then they don't do well, and then they come back. Then they do come here after they find out that it's not their.
Sure. Well, it's part of what I do is about data. We have to share the information. We have to share the data to the students, to the schools. We've been working with the principal at Ypsi Schools. That's been interesting. I know they've had a lot of turnover, but he is very committed to ensuring all of his students have access to a high-quality education. So having that support at the school level, I think the counselors come and go sometime, but I think the leadership is there, and the principal. I've met with the superintendent a couple of times. He's on board. And if you don't know, I worked in Flint for 15 years. Same issues around how do you get students and how do you get the faculty and staff to look at the community college as a stepping stone, not just a place where students show up. So for me, it's personal that we give students an opportunity to see what we have, the parents an opportunity to see what we have, and we change their mindset about why they should come to WCC.
Has it been helpful to have like workshops for the parents to come along with the students to understand a little bit more about the programs and what the community college is?
Those are planned for fall, so our
Okay.
goal is to roll those out in the fall.
Okay, all right. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go to monthly reports, personnel matters.
So we have a couple of personnel matters that we're bringing to the board this month, and we'll start with the monthly personnel recommendations. This is the recommendation that the board approves of personnel recommendation, which includes newly hired employees and those that are leaving during the month. You will see that we've hired 2 new full-time employees. Both are replacing our existing positions that were previously vacated.
Any questions?
I'd just like to say that I'm not sure we can manage without Terry Reeves. He's been here for 29 years, and he knows this place inside and out, and when some mechanical system fails, we'll have to call him. So I'm not sure he's replaceable. So I just want to thank him for his years of service and his cheerful attitude to me when I was upset about something. So I wish him well. Thank you.
I agree with that. I agree. Wish him well. Thank you. And I would also like to give a recognition to Donna O'Connor with 24 years of service here. And I think there was...
Martha.
Yeah. I think there was another one. And yes, Paula Bartha, and 22 years of experience here. So this is great to see that they're moving on, and I hope the time from here will be fruitful. Yes.
Yeah, Paula's done a great job with the, what's it called?
Adult transitions.
Adult transition program. And we had a wonderful graduation last week, and she was there, and the students wished her well as well. So she's done very well. I'd like to also thank, I guess, President Belanca for including the what I had asked for in terms of open positions for the year, at least at this date, snapshot of that. And I'm glad to see a replacement for 6 faculty positions. There are, I mean, I'm glad to see online positions and a grants manager, but it is a little bit disturbing to me that there are 6 new administrative positions added to the current administrative positions. There are no new faculty positions. And I just worry about the balance of administration to clerical and faculty. And I can't argue with any one of them. They all look like good ideas. I just worry about the big picture of hiring more administrators and fewer faculty. And just wanted to make that point.
Okay. We'll take
Another comment.
Oh, yes.
I actually wanted to thank the president for including this in the human resources in the board memo. And just to follow up on Ruth's questions or comments, there's a couple of the new positions, and I think these new administrative positions, I think are really, look like they're needed and positive. I know from talking to some faculty people that the online positions are badly needed, and I think that department will be well-served as we're expanding our online offerings by those 2 new positions. I just have 2 questions. One is on the corporate curriculum and instructional designer. What is that?
That is a person that's going to work with the development training for us. It's a position, we had Sally Schmall in a position at the college around professional development and organizational development. We found that that was not something that was doing well from a revenue generation perspective, and we felt that it was more important, especially as we moved into the American Center for Mobility and Emerging Curriculum, that we hire somebody that could put training development packages together that is trained in Blackboard and uses great pedagogy when we put those things together.
So this will be working in your area?
Yes.
And we'll be designing curriculum.
For training.
Curricula that is set to serve the needs of employers in the area?
Right, so they'll actually be designing training
Okay.
to meet employer needs.
And if I may?
Yes.
And if I may?
Sure.
This position may be a new position, but it's actually a replacement position because the one position that you referred to,
Right.
not that there was any problems, but it no longer met the need.
So
in
that
the way.
position's
So
going
that
away.
position went away
Okay.
and this position came.
Okay, and then the other question, the grants manager, is that going to be working, I know a lot of the grants come, Michelle, in your area. Or is that going to be, where's that going to be working, or will it be working with the foundation?
Actually not, it'll work with the foundation.
President?
Yes, it will be working with the foundation.
Okay.
And we are, as most colleges are now, but we've put a lot of focus on grants. But we're really looking at grants for additional revenue. And so we feel that we need somebody dedicated to that. And this individual works with everyone. This person works with the credit, non-credit, anywhere where there's a need for this, for our grants. And the grants have to fit in. We have a process. They have to fit into certain criteria. You just don't write a grant to write a grant. That has to align with the strategic plan. It has to be worth the effort. Like you're not going to go for a grant that's $10,000 that takes you $20,000 to implement. So it has to be worth the effort in terms of, and there has to be an accountable, measurable value to help the college move forward. So I guess that would summarize it. And there are grants that you write to. Our foundation, for example, now is going to be a lot, we always were focused on grants, but now we're going to have to be more focused on grants. And so we'll be trying to work with places like the Kresge Foundation, for example. So you might see some grants that we haven't seen before. And this will help us.
Thank you.
Yes.
And will this person be the person, say, in the fall that reports to us about all the grants that are out there that we've gotten and that we're applying for?
You know, I don't know. We will give you that
It'd be nice.
report. I don't know if that's the person who'll know
Sure.
that, right? Because I don't know who we're going to hire for that.
yeah.
But somebody will have that answer.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
Well, I just wanted to say briefly, being around other community colleges and speaking with them, just about everyone has a grant, a specific type of
We've
grant.
had them before.
Yeah, right. But they're really out there because what's going down, not just with the federal, but the state also in funding for our community colleges. And so it's really imperative that we start looking now instead of later. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
one more question. I just wonder on the personnel recommendations, is it possible that for the full-time employees, like the new ones, could we say whether they're replacement or new positions when you put them in there? And I wonder if the full-time ending for economic and community development, will those two people be replaced?
The one position, Sally Schmo's position?
That's the one that's changed.
That's the one that just changed, right.
And the other one?
The other
Tyrus?
one was
Falls.
Tyrus. Yes, we will be replacing that
Okay,
position.
thank you.
Who is this?
Tyrus.
Tyrus.
Oh, Tyrus?
He's an operations manager.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, would this
Yes.
be a good time for us to introduce our new Associate Vice
Yes.
President?
Why not?
Okay, Vice President Blakey, would you do the honors?
I'd like to welcome our new Associate Vice President of Enrollment Management, Amir Chowdhury. He just started on Monday. He most recently worked at Mid-State Technical College in Wisconsin. He brings a wealth of experience from multiple schools in the enrollment management area. He's already hit the ground running, meeting with a lot of staff and giving us some ideas. So we are very excited to have him joining us.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much for coming. Thank you.
Should I move acceptance of the personnel report?
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're going to tab C, appointment and 2017-18 salary adjustment for President and CEO Blanca. The recommendation is that the Board of Trustees extend the appointment of Dr. Rose B. Blanca as President and Chief Executive Officer to June 30, 2020, and that her 2017-18 salary be set at $217,522, that she receive a one-time deferred compensation payment equal to 5.6% of her annual salary during the 2017-18 fiscal year, and that the Chair of the Board of Trustees be authorized to sign a contract with Dr. Blanca on behalf of the Board. Is there a motion?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call.
Chairman Horton,
Yes.
Vice Chair Fleming,
Yes.
Treasurer Milliken,
Yes.
Secretary Davis,
Yes.
Trustee DeVarty,
Yes.
Trustee Hatcher,
No.
Trustee Linda.
Yes.
Okay, the board has passed this, the salary appointment for Dr. Blanca. Then we're going to go to tab D, and that's that the Board of Trustees approve the 2017-18 independent staff salary range table as submitted.
So moved.
Or moved and supported. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Actually,
Oh, I'm sorry.
oh no, it's on the next thing.
Roll call.
Chairman Horton,
Yes.
Vice Chair Fleming,
Yes.
Treasurer Milliken,
Yes.
Secretary Davis,
Yes.
Trustee DeVarty,
Yes.
Trustee Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Linda.
Yes.
Okay, that has been passed. Next, we're going to tab E. The board approved the 2017-18 part-time support staff and club sports coaches salary as submitted. I hear a motion?
So moved.
Support. Moved and supported. Any discussions?
I don't have any. Is there something in our
missed one.
packet?
I don't know.
We don't have any,
Is it different than,
Is it this pink one?
I don't have it.
I have the pink one, but that's different.
I have it. The reading.
E,
D.
I have the green, but I don't have any supporting,
So for this one, it's just, are you talking about the?
yes.
Yep, it's just this, because it just tells the increase by 1.5. Are you talking about the table?
I'm
Well-
talking, there's no table that goes with this one? Okay,
No, there's two different.
okay. Thank you.
Or is it?
I'm kind of confused here.
Did you skip tab E?
No, I'm on E.
You're on
On
E?
E.
I'm on E. All right.
Okay, so all we're doing is approving a 1.5% adjustment.
Adjustment.
Right.
For the,
For
Adjustment.
independent.
I'm sorry. What
I gotta
did
make
I
sure
go
I
to
have
You
E?
said club
Okay.
sports, and I think that's why we're
I'm
confused.
sorry. All right.
I
I'm
think
sorry.
you-
Let me get my brain back. I'm trying to separate what's been going on with me today. All right. I apologize. Tab E, Board of Trustees approve a 1.5% adjustment to the independent staff salary and wage rates for the 17-18 fiscal year. Do I hear a motion?
Move approval.
Okay.
Just
Yes.
a comment. I'm going to vote for this. But one thing I'd like to point out, and I think it's one of the sticking points with the OPT contract, is that people at the low end of the wage scale, they're getting that same 1.5% as people at the high end. For people at the high end, it's a significant increase, and they can go home feeling nice. But for people at the low end, maybe we need to start thinking maybe a little bit more to bring some equity into a pay schedule that and start recognizing that at the lower end, there's more distress, economic distress. And maybe we should start thinking, and even in the negotiations with the OPTs put on the table, we're open to thinking about a little bit higher at the low end of the wage scale, but keep a cap at the 1.5%, which we're doing across the board. But I'd like us to focus on the overall equity of our pay structure, where we're giving nice salaries to the executives and they deserve it, and to our long-term faculty who are highly paid, and they deserve it. We have a great school with great education, great instruction capabilities, but at the low end, a 1.5% is almost as our representative of the WCC educational unit points out, it's like a McDonald's meal a week that we're giving at the low end of the wage scale. And I'd say maybe we need to really think about this a little bit more. But I will be voting for this. But I urge the administration going down the road to look at trying to increase the equity by increasing the lower end a little bit more.
Thank you.
That's duly noted unless
Yeah.
President wants to speak to that or not.
No, I appreciate that.
I'm voting for this.
Yeah, sure.
I will
But
get
and
that.
just guidance down the road.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
It's a roll call. Roll call? Yes.
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 Secretary Davis,
Yes.
Trustee Norton,
Yes.
Trustee Hatcher,
Yes.
Trustee Linda.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go to tab F. Got myself confused the last time. And again, the Board of Trustees approved the 17-18 part-time support staff and club sports coaches salary. Is there a motion?
So move.
Support.
Discussion? Hearing none? Oh,
Yeah, I remain concerned, and I've been concerned with this for a long time. I realize that the child care workers are a member of the clerical unit, and classified faculty are in the WCCA faculty unit. But I'm frankly appalled at the salary rate for the people who work with our children. It's a consistent pattern in this country to pay the lowest rate we can to people who work with our children, from having slave workers take care of our children, to paying teachers very little. And I would like to urge the two unions to talk about that. It's not something I can fix. It's not something the board can fix, because it is something to do with contracts. But I just think I'm embarrassed by the salary level of our child care workers.
yes, go ahead.
To the point, which that also is well taken. You may notice the increase that occurred with the part-time. I understand your point, and I respect that. But you can see the increase was significant
Right.
from one year to
understand
the
that.
next.
Yeah.
But I do understand.
Still not.
Yeah,
It's still
I do
not.
understand what you're saying, but I just wanted to point out, if you take a look at those increases, you'll see the last year you mentioned this to me
Yep.
at a
Still there.
meeting. So this year, hopefully you see the difference.
Yes.
But your point is well taken about the people who work with our children. Thank you.
They aren't clerical. They're teaching. They're working with our young people, and that's very, very important. They're not answering the phone. They're working with children, and I think the classification is a little screwy, as well as the salary.
I can't argue with that because I don't know what how the federal government classifies them. And you know that. You know how these classifications come about. It's not that we make it up. And I know when I first started here, clerical was very low in pay. And I've always been sensitive because I started out babysitting when I was 10. So I've been working since I was 10 years old. So I know what it means to get $1 an hour. I know what it means to work at places that you didn't get paid a lot. And a lot of it has to. I'm not saying here. I don't know. I don't know what their educational background is. I don't know what their years of experience is. But I have to leave it up to whatever the HR determines, and maybe we'll have to do a study to see what is the salary ranges for certain classifications in order for people to be brought up to whatever level that is. And I know when I worked at the county, they did that. And it wasn't significant, but it was done. They changed the classification for some people for them to be moved from low to mid range. And maybe that's something that needs to be done here. And when I say it's duly noted, believe me, I know what it means. I know what it means. I'll stop. All right.
Chairman Gordon?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fleming?
Yes.
Treasurer Milliken?
Yes.
Secretary Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Burton?
Yes.
Trustee Hatcher?
Yes.
Trustee Linda?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go to tab G, part-time faculty wage rates. Approve the 2017-18 part-time faculty wage rates as submitted. Any, is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
Okay. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Chairman Gordon?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fleming?
Yes.
Treasurer Milliken?
Yes.
Secretary Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Burton?
Yes.
Trustee Hatcher?
Yes.
Trustee Linda?
Yes.
Tab H, financial reports, Vice President Johnson.
Great, thank you. So you have the reports through the month of May, and as you can see, prior to the non-cash loss on mark-to-market for long-term investments, we have a surplus through May compared to budget of about $1.6 million. Of the $1.6 million, you will note that revenue is right in line with budget, and we're up just about $170,000 from budget year to date. On the cost side, we're actually below budget year to date, about $1.5 million. Of that amount, about $1 million of that, a little less than $1 million, is due to personnel costs, and the lion's share of that is savings related to part-time staff, and our health care and other benefit costs being slightly below budget for that. On the non-personnel costs, that's a number of areas across the college, and that's about a little north of $500,000 under budget. And so that in total, that our expenditure is about $1.6 million below budget for the year. We are trending at that same pace through June, although there is a mighty effort across campus to be able to expend needed items yet in this fiscal year to fully utilize their budget lines. And kudos go to our purchasing and accounts payable staff who work very hard to work with the campus at large to do the best that we can, and yet still stay within all the board policies related to that. But we anticipate that we will be under budget on the expense side at least at the 1.6 million that you see through year to date May.
Any questions? Yes.
What's the difference between the general administration 3.8 million and the 2.9 million on the bottom of page 1? There's $1 million difference there. I thought those were the same. You see what I'm saying?
No.
The last paragraph on page 1 talks about 2 million projected savings plus 920,000.
Oh.
But that line item general admin is more like 3.8. Where's the other $1 million come from?
So there's a number of areas across the college that are under budget within that section. So for instance, in the administrative institutional side, for instance, that we are under budget in bad debt expense. So we're trending below budget. Some of the lines we had for outside services are below budget.
So it's not
for
just
here.
personnel then?
It's just not personnel. There's a number of areas.
Thank you.
Any other questions? And I'm going to take this time. I read yesterday from the MCCA report regarding the House and Senate passed the MESPERS. How is that going to affect us? Because I looked at the numbers, the percentage, where the community colleges to get 1%. MESPERS, they're saying that it's going to, the figures have changed, the percentages have changed, and I didn't write it down, but I'm hoping that you remember what those percentages are. Could you speak on that, please, and how it's going to affect our budget?
Certainly. Well, we don't know fully how it's going to impact the budget, but in the main, the college pays north of $12 million a year in retirement costs. The lion's share of that retirement cost is to fund the unfunded obligation on pension. And every employee, we have to pay, on average, about 21% of base compensation towards the unfunded liability on pension. Under the new MEPSRS reform, that does not change. What does change, one of the plans that's offered to employees, and now specifically for new employees, will be a movement from the old hybrid plan that we had to a new defined contribution plan. But
the percentage is different, though.
It is different, but in total, it's not going to be significant. Today, the college under one of those plans, that defined contribution plan, we put in 3% when the employees put in 6%. So under the new plan, we will put in 4%. So there's a slight cost increase from 3 to 4% for those employees who elect to go into that plan. A lot of our employees are still in MEPSRS. And so for many employees, this would just relate to new employees who opt into that plan. So of that 12.5 million of pension costs, the lion's share of it is fixed to fund the unfunded obligation under pension. And regardless of which plan that you choose, we are still going to be obligated to fund that into the MEPSRS pension plan. So we don't anticipate it's going to be a significant cost difference in total cash from what we are paying today.
Yes.
Did you say we're going to continue to the college will put in 6 and the employee will put in 3? You said that's going to change?
Yeah.
That's going to change, and how that's going to change is the college is going to put in 4, and then there's an obligation to put up to another 3%, but that 3% is going to be funded through another state funding source. So it'll be pass-through money that incremental 3% will not be bottom line cash impact to the college, but rather will be pass-through money that's being funded through through a set-aside fund that the state has put there. So the real cost for us as to that plan, which is a very small percentage of our total employees, will be going from 3% to 4%.
Any other questions? Thank you. I appreciate you explaining that a little bit further. Because it was an alarm when I read it, you know, that this is, that first of all, they didn't do what they said they were going to do. And that was to drastically cut up the MESPERS and what they were going to have the colleges do, and what employees had to do. So it's changed. So I'm really glad to see that. But I was just a little concerned still, how is it going to impact our budget, though, with this change? Okay, yes.
I move we accept the financial reports.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. In discussion? Hearing none. Say aye.
This is a voice vote.
No, it's not a roll call.
No, it's a voice vote.
Voice vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Remarks of members of the board, trustees.
Facilities?
Oh, facilities. And that is Vice President Flowers.
Just got a few things just to update the board. The third phase of the campus lockdown project is nearing its end. We're just programming devices now, and hopefully by the end of next week, everything will be set and operational, and plan to have some in-service for the staff who aren't familiar with the new lockdown system and how it operates, and we'll perform that. The window project finally is finished for Crane Liberal Arts and Science Building after 3 years.
Wow.
And it could have been done quicker, but we didn't have enough space to move faculty in another location to do it all at once. So we did it incrementally over 3 years, and it's now complete, the entire building. Just finally, the parking lots moved forward very well, I think. I mean, we are ahead of the schedule that we had set, and having two contractors certainly helped the acceleration of getting the work done, and they worked very hard. They worked, in some cases, 12, 13 hours a day, and we were fortunate enough not to have a lot of rain during the last month, and so it got done. We're keeping Lot 7 as closest to Clark Road closed for the police academy, because the academy starts on July 1st, Saturday, and they would like to put their markings for the EVO training that goes on in that lot. So there's some more striping that has to go on, or paint markings for the vehicles to do their maneuvers, and so we're going to hold it open or hold it closed until those markings are done. So next week it'll be open. And as you probably saw coming in, Lot 1 is open. So.
Any questions? Yes.
Has the township noticed that our parking lots are in better shape than their roads?
Probably not.
Embarrass them somehow so they can repair them? It's getting pretty rough out there in front of the fitness center.
Well, for myself, I think everything looks just great. They've done a very good job. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let's see here. I think we're going to go to remarks. Yes.
Last month, the Detroit Regional Chamber of Commerce held its policy conference on Mackinac Island. 3 days. Every business leader and every political official in Michigan was there. And I had attended a panel that Dr. Belanca participated in, chaired by Paul Krutko of the Ann Arbor Spark, Roger Curtis, and Chancellor Ivory from Wayne County Community College. And I just wanted to say how pleased I was to see the role that Dr. Belanca had in speaking about autonomous vehicles and our new presence at Willow Run with our office that we're going to have there, and really helping, well, the college is already on the map, so she didn't put it on the map, but she gave it greater credibility. She spoke very well on behalf of the college and on behalf of the subject matter we're going to be exploring there.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
I'd just like to congratulate, of course she's not here because she's always here, Julie Kissel, who defended her dissertation and barring some minor formalities is now Dr. Julie Kissel in the English department, receiving her doctorate from Eastern Michigan. Dave was at her defense and Dave was at her defense, and just congratulations to her for that. I'm kind of slow. It takes me a while to, but you know, we had a lot of presentations last week from the various team leaders, and I'd just like to thank them for all their work. They get the work done and they do it well, and they get kudos from other places, the state, the governor, whatever, but I think they should get kudos from us as well. So I wanted to thank them for that. And I was also impressed with the picture, was it in, well, whatever, of the French visitors who came to see the thing. And my only concern would be that next time we have visitors that are visiting an instructional area, it would be nice to have some faculty from that area in the picture. So just a suggestion. Thank you.
Any? Yes.
It was a great honor to be asked to speak at the GED graduation last Thursday. And I have to say, it was really exciting. It's very impressive, the program we have in place to help guide people to succeed and get their GEDs. And I understand we have one of the best percentages in the state, if not the best. The best, at 78% roughly, of working people through the program to get their GED. And the students there were very proud and ready to celebrate. And they deserved it because of all the hard work they put in. It was my honor to be there. Thank you.
Well, thank you for doing it. It's very exciting, and you get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
It's always a wonderful.
It's always a wonderful situation. Anybody else? Well, I just want to say that last Thursday I wasn't able to be at the GED graduation because I was in Detroit, along with Vice President Mueller and the SIMCOG. And first of all, our meeting was being held at the Charles H. Wright African American Museum, and that was my first time there.
Great facility.
Oh my gosh! Oh, it was outstanding. It was just, and we had a personal tour, and the tour guide was excellent in explaining everything. And after that, we went into caucus, and I'm in the educational caucus, and I was re-elected to my two positions, transportation and back on the executive board again. So that was taken care of, and a lot of other things. And there's a changing of the chairs for SIMCOG. Reverend Roderick Green from Superior Township, and he's also, if you don't know, trustee for Superior Township. He stepped down, and a new person has been put into his place. So that was a very good place to be, and food and was great, and the music was even greater. So we're going to turn this over. Anybody else? We're going to turn this over to the president's remarks.
First of all, I'd like to thank the board for your vote of support. I truly value the opportunity to work here, to lead this magnificent college. You've been very helpful in sharing your comments, and as you notice, I do take them to heart. So be careful what you ask for, because you never know. Sometimes it's bigger than we think. But so thank you so much. And in saying that, I need to thank, one person can't do this. It's everyone that works here. a wonderful team, amazing team. And not only them, when I talk about team, I'm talking about the administrative team, but the faculty, the staff, the students, every single person, every job here is important, and we all do our best to relate to students, and that's really what makes us successful. And everyone in this room produces quality, whichever piece they touch, and that's what makes us successful. So thank you. Secondly, okay, do you remember the capital outlay grant that we approved in November? November, right? And we had asked originally a couple years ago for 13 million. Okay, well, then we changed it, we went back, we revisited it, and we looked at it and we said, no, it's a $4 million, we want 4 million. 2 million, that is what we would put in, matched by 2 million from the state. Well, and this was all for advanced transportation, to have this large area where we could do more IT connected vehicle type things. Okay, so I have to tell you the story. I'll make it quick, but it's just too good of a story. So what happened is when the first, the project was evaluated by the DMB, the Department of Management and Budget. And when they looked at it, they ranked us 5th. And there's a ranking point, And so we really thought, well, we weren't going to get this. And we just kind of thought, well, we'll have to live with this. We're not going to get it, and that's fine. Well, I got a call last week from Kurt Profit, and he said, okay, what do you want me to do? Because something unique happened. And what happened is that the appropriations in the House acted on what the DNB, Department of Management and Budget, they acted on that. We were not in that because we were number 5. When the governor saw that we weren't getting the money, he said, yes, Washtenaw Community College is going to be granted the $2 million. It's like the first time they have done this. And yesterday, I was invited on behalf of the college at a meeting at Bros. It's a corporation in Auburn Hills. And the reason, and this, when I say I'm the president, that's why, but I represent a lot of people, okay? I mean, it's not about me, it's about I. So anyway, I was represented the college. We're the only college there. Oh, there it is. We're represented. This was by invitation only because they were making an announcement. And as you look at that photo, you'll see there's the governor. The guy with the red tie in the middle is the CEO of Bros, which we got a call from Roger Curtis, who's the guy next to the guy with the red tie, who is the head of the Department of Talent for the state. And he asked me if we could work with Bros to do some training for them. I contacted Michelle. Nico's right on it. We're doing all their apprenticeship training and some other type of training for their incumbent workers, as well as for some new employee training. So we're doing it. Next to that person is Brian, I think his name's Wilson. Winston? Wilson? Whitson. I'm sorry, Brian Whitson, just in case you're watching. Brian is the state superintendent. And what he was announcing yesterday was the career pathways, and that the state now, they're going to expect, K-12 to start focusing on career pathways. That was the big announcement yesterday. And so I was just invited to stand there because the governor wanted to acknowledge Washtenaw Community College as the first college to offer a certificate and degree as a mobility technician. And he said that in his remarks. And next to me, and I have to just say this because it's just so cool, is the director of vocational and technical education at Chippewa Valley Schools. She has my old job from so I just thought that was so cool from probably 20 years ago. But anyway, so it was, and then on the other side, we have the gentleman who's from the Union of Engineers. I don't know the correct title, operating engineers. And I'm not sure who the guy with the light blue shirt is on. I can't remember. Oh, he was the student. That's right. He was the student that was involved. So, and we just signed another training contract to do some more training with another union. And someone stopped me at this event yesterday and said, our union wants you to train. We'd like you to do our national training. We heard you're the best. Your college is the best. So, best in the business. So, thank you, all of you, because it takes all of us to make that happen. Every single person it takes to make that happen. So, and it takes a lot of patience, because it's not easy when you have visitors on your campus. Because for that week, they're not visitors, they own the place. And you thought you owned the place, like these geese. You know, it's like, you know, and you have to work around them, and the parking spaces aren't where they're supposed to be, and all kinds of faculty are really good about their labs, and, you know, and because we service them and we are able to have that patience, we do an extremely good job. So I'd like to thank everyone. And we also have a new cybersecurity associate's degree you probably read about. It was in the paper, one of the first, and a great partnership with EMU. So all in all, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you.
That is exciting news. That's great. We're really getting, not just in the state, but we're getting out beyond the state level now.
Oh, well, oh my God, I have to tell you one more thing. So I was invited to this discussion on the future of mobility. It's just for one meeting. There's a council. I'm not on the council. They just wanted me to talk about Washtenaw. So I was invited to this meeting, and we gave them an information packet. The co-chair of the Council for the Future of Mobility, which is an appointed council by the governor, while I was talking, went through the materials we shared in this packet. He saw the hand that the 3D hand that Tom Pinard, you know, created, worked with that child. When he saw the hand, he immediately showed me he couldn't believe it. He showed me his cell phone because Brown University just sent him a text with a photo that they had done an arm, a hand and an arm. So he said, I'm going to send this to the dean because I'm an alum of Brown, and I'm going to send this to the dean. And he did, and the dean contacted me. Now, to have a university like Brown call you a community college because they want to partner with you, that's like unheard of. I mean, we'd be lucky if they accept, you know, they're kind of different, Brown.
And expensive.
So, and very expensive. So the dean is going to be coming down here for a tour with our facility, and they do want to partner with us.
So you said yes.
I said absolutely yes. So that's great work.
Oh, that is just so exciting. So many things are happening on the horizon. That's great. Any other comments? Nobody else?
No, I just want to put a plug in real quick. I'm so excited about the new cyber security program that we've got here. I've already recruited a student. Well, actually, I stole him. He had major plans to go to Jackson College. I said, no, you need to come to WCC. You need to stay here. So he spoke to me yesterday, and he said he took the admission test and all of that for him to enroll here. I was like, yes.
Right.
So there's just, you know, a quick plug.
Thank you.
That's great. That's great. Oh, wow. This is really good news to hear. Okay, we're going to go to old business. Action item, approval 2017-18 faculty sabbatical. That's being good. Tab J. Approve? I mean approve. Support?
Support.
Okay. This is the sabbatical leaves for 27-18. Any discussion? Everyone I've taken have read? Okay.
I do have a quick question.
Yes.
When they come back from their sabbatical, do they present their information to the board? Let us know what they've done?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah, they're supposed to.
Yeah, it's part of their contract.
That, right. So far, some people have not yet, but I'm waiting. Okay?
Cool.
All right.
I know someone who wants to. I know someone who's wants to.
Happy to give a presentation anytime I'm asked.
Well, you have been asked.
Thank you.
Well, you ready?
No, no.
I can give it right now if you want. I'd rather have a PowerPoint presentation, but I
think we can, you know, I think there's appropriate person you can contact, get on the agenda. Okay, I just want to go through it. The sabbatical leaves are for Dina Blair in Humanities, Teresa Dubille, Nursing Department, Kelly Gotchin, Digital Media Arts, Mimi Norwood, Behavioral Science, Jason Withrow, Digital Media Arts, and David Wooten, Biology. And I found every one of them very interesting. So I really am looking forward to hearing their reports. And any discussion further? No? This is the action. Roll call.
Chair McWhorter?
Yes.
Vice Chair Colon?
Yes.
Yes.
Secretary Davis?
Yes.
Trustee DeVarty?
Yes.
Trustee Hatcher?
Yes.
Trustee Lina?
Yes.
Okay, we're going down to new business, and that is the construction contract change order. And I'm not going to read it all, just
Damon Flowers. will
Damon,
just
thank you.
update us.
Would you please?
Sure. So,
Vice President Flowers.
Yes.
So this is nothing the board has to act on, but I did wanted to bring it to your attention. Did have a change order, actually two change orders for Pavex, one of the two paving contractors. As you know, there were a number of areas that we didn't do, that we could have done, so we noticed as the work progressed that there were some areas that we could add to the project because they were bad, that weren't discovered on the original documents. In addition to that, we had some undercutting, which we did carry in the bid of all the contractors for work of removing underground material that was bad. So this change order covers some additional work that was added to the project, some additional broken curves, some additional paving that was bad, that was beyond the scope of the construction documents, as well as some undercutting. So I just wanted to, because of the amount, it's $74,479, to bring it to the board's attention so you were aware that this change was being made.
Okay. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, according to the narrative, it says the Board of Trustees must approve change orders which exceed the original contract by more than 10%.
Right.
Or 20,000, whichever is greater. So 74,000 is more than 10% of the 475,000.
It is under what the board
So
authorized.
technically, shouldn't we approve it? I'm okay with it, but shouldn't we approve it?
The board authorized the $457,000. The contract was $345,000. So
Oh,
the
I
actual
see. So it's
contract was
within-
far less.
So it's within what we've already authorized?
Correct.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So there is no additional money at all. This is still under, even with this change order, it's under what the board authorized.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. And you will bring this back next month, correct?
It will not be necessary.
No,
This
it
is
won't be
just
necessary.
information.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Okay, fine. Any other questions? Comments? Concerns?
No concerns.
No concerns?
No.
Well, I'm looking at Bruce, so I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'll withdraw that concern.
Yeah, don't ask.
I won't ask. Okay.
Be careful what you ask for.
You got that right. All right, I would like to say the meeting is adjourned at 20 minutes to 8. This is real good for us. Oh, is there a motion on the floor to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.